Sudah live ya? Oke. Oke, saya accept ya.
Halo, selamat pagi semua. Rekan-rekan alumni.
Pagi.
Rekan-rekan alumni, baik yang dari binusian atau juga yang dari umum ya, dan juga mahasiswa. Terima kasih telah register dan hari ini kita sangat beruntung ya, bisa punya sesi yang seperti ini, sangat langka. Kita mendapatkan 2 speaker yang sangat kompeten di bidangnya. Ya, nanti saya akan memperkenalkan speaker kita. Dan terima kasih semuanya sudah meluangkan waktu. Hari ini kita akan masuk ke satu tema seminar, Keys in the Evolving Cybersecurity Landscape. Kita tahu keamanan cyber ini, atau disebut juga dengan cybersecurity, adalah praktek untuk melindungi sistem jaringan dan program dari serangan-serangan digital. Karena kita tahu ya, sekarang sejak pandemi makin banyak kita melakukan transaksi online secara dalam kehidupan sehari-hari ya. Mau belanja, mau transaksi keuangan, semuanya melewati online. Nah, itu juga bagusnya kita banyak mengetahui mengenai pengetahuan ini, dan juga nanti banyak informasi mengenai sertifikasi-sertifikasi dalam bidang ini, sehingga bisa menunjang pekerjaan teman-teman di bidang IT security ini. Untuk memulainya, saya akan mengundang Pak Marzuki untuk memberikan kata sambutan dalam acara ini. Silakan Pak.
Baik, selamat pagi kepada rekan-rekan. Salam kenal, kami dari Ikatan Keluarga Alumni bersama teman-teman dari ARO, Alumni Relation Office dari BINUS University. Hari ini berkesempatan untuk bersama dengan teman-teman dari Boston Business School. Ya, ada Mr. Lee and Mr. Yundi from the Boston University Business School. Ya, hari ini suatu kesempatan untuk saling belajar bersama. Mudah-mudahan dalam event ini seperti juga event-event sebelumnya, kita akan banyak mendapatkan tambahan-tambahan pengetahuan terus masuk kepada teman rekan-rekan kita di alumni BINUS. Jadi hari ini saya dapat masukkan bahwa acara ini cukup banyak peminatnya. Ada alumni BINUS, ada juga dari BINUS undergraduate, S1-nya BINUS, bahkan ada dari umum. Dan tujuan acara ini tentu adalah lebih mengenal ya apa itu cyber security, sesuatu yang menjadi sangat penting hari-hari ini, terutama memang keamanan data sudah sangat-sangat menjadi bagian penting dari setiap perusahaan untuk menjaganya lebih baik. Ya, mudah-mudahan nanti Mr. Lee dan Mr. Yundi akan banyak memberikan kita masukan-masukan, dan dari situlah nantinya kita akan mempunyai kesempatan untuk lebih mengenal dan kita akan lebih paham lagi. Di sini juga ada Ibu Triana sebagai MC, moderator kita. Terima kasih Bu. Juga ada teman-teman dari IKA, saya lihat ada Pak Andri, ada Ibu yang lain-lain juga dari IKA BINUS. Ya, terima kasih semuanya. Mari kita ikuti acaranya dan saya kembalikan kepada Ibu moderator kita, Ibu Triana. Silakan Ibu Triana.
Thank you Pak Marzuki, thank you. Oke, tanpa berlama-lama saya akan memperkenalkan speakernya kita ya. Salah satunya adalah speaker internasional ya, datang dari Singapura ya, yaitu Mr. Lee Kian Chong. He's a CEO of Cyberlitmus, a member of the Cybersecurity Agency of Singapore. Beliau ini lulusan dari University of Cambridge ya. Dia itu adalah master filosofi. Master filosofi ini adalah mahasiswa research ya. Jadi cukup kompeten lah ya untuk menjelaskan semua tentang cybersecurity, dan beliau juga lulus dari Imperial College London, terus juga pernah banyak sertifikasinya, yaitu ACLP, Advanced Certificate in Learning of Performance Institute of Adult Learning. Jadi beliau ini juga adalah seorang edukator dan banyak lagi pengalaman-pengalamannya. Kemudian ada speaker yang kedua, speaker kita adalah seorang juga binusian, Pak Yundi. Ya, Pak Yundi ini lulusan BINUS dari jurusan Computer Engineering atau dulu namanya Teknik Komputer. Ya, nah beliau juga banyak pengalamannya baik di perusahaan lokal atau juga perusahaan internasional. Ya, salah satunya ada di IBM Indonesia, juga pernah di Metro Data Indonesia, dan sekarang bertugas di Boston Business School dan juga Cyber Litmus. Ya, jadi oke, saya tanpa berlama-lama lagi, saya serahkan waktu dan tempat kepada Mr. Lee, Kian Chong, dan Pak Yundi.
Thank you.
Terima kasih. Let me just share my screen now, if that's okay.
Yeah, you can see this thing.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So thank you first and foremost for having us today on a wonderful Saturday morning to share and learn together about the key risks in the evolving cybersecurity landscape. My name is Kian. Of course, I'm joined with Pak Yundi as well, and we're delighted to be here today. So Ibu Trana shared a good introduction already, so I will skip this. Generally, we're currently a member of the Cybersecurity Agency of Singapore's CyberSafe Partnership Program, and as SheTech, we also are trained educators as well as cybersecurity specialists, having done some of our training in the US. So over here is a quick overview of the kinds of companies that we are. So Cyber Litmus specializes in human risk and management. It helps businesses build their security awareness programs and defend against social engineering. And PBS is a tech training academy, where we're an approved training organization, and we work with the Committee of Private Education to train people into new emerging technology areas such as cybersecurity, AI, data science, IoT, etc. So to just give a brief timeline of what the cyber threat landscape has looked like over the last couple of decades, right? To give everyone a brief overview, you can see that very early on there were already people who were trying to trick people with social engineering, where they were pretending to be phone operators, etc. Back in the early days, when they were trying to extract resources and I guess money from unsuspecting victims. But of course, after a while, it got a bit more sophisticated, and that's when the first computer virus was born, along with a whole range of other different types of malware, worms, trojans, that evolved from the 1970s to the 1990s. And that is in correlation with the development of the computer in those past few decades. And of course, once that was more established, everyone had more access to the internet, for example, we started to see things that were tapping onto the advantages of the internet to make these threats even more widespread and potentially severe. And that's when you start to see phishing attacks. With the phishing attacks, phishing attacks are only effective if you can target large amounts of people, of which you want a certain percentage to fall prey to the attacks. A phishing attack could, for example, be saying that they have sent an email from let's say BNI, for example, saying that perhaps you have sent a transaction to someone, and could you please And could you please log into your bank account to check to see whether that is indeed true? And of course, this is not a real message, and it's also not a real bank portal account to log into. So that is how the phishing comes about. And as more and more companies and organizations around the world start moving into, let's say, digital banking, digital portals for their customers, etc., this became more and more pronounced. And as time went by, there were even more different types of attacks. And as of 2020, you will see that phishing is still very, very, very prevalent. And you also see that IoT-based attacks are also becoming more and more prevalent, because more and more people are trying to use IoT to better manage and optimize their infrastructure and resources. And that in itself provides another additional attack surface for attackers to focus on and look at. So that is where we are today. We have moved from very physical attacks all the way to more virus and phishing-based attacks. And now we are going back to IoT-based ones. So the physical infrastructure has become very important again in many, many countries. So the underlying theme is this: cyber threats are becoming increasingly frequent, costly, and sophisticated. The COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in cybercrime to increase by 600%. And between 2015 and 2021, ransomware has become 57 times more costly. By 2025, the global cost of cybercrime every year is estimated at $10.5 trillion. This is a crazy amount. It is more than the GDP of quite a number of countries put together. And there's a hacker attack every 39 seconds. And this is what I would say. I would say that this is an underestimation. There are certainly even more than unreported. To just further elaborate on how severe this has become over the COVID-19 pandemic, we must first think about the people who are already criminals to begin with. If you're already a criminal and currently you're facing COVID-19, you cannot be conducting physical crime anymore, which is why we suspect that a percentage of these people have converted into cyber criminals, and they have been thinking of many ways to capitalize on this opportunity. Even in several countries, including Singapore, we experience data breaches every now and then, and a lot of them they tend to be a result of they tend to be a result of people who are not as aware of these threats and were caught off guard, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. So you can see that there are many different types of ransomware being developed and released into the wild. 10,666 ransomware variants have been observed. We have wiper malware that skyrocketed during the Russian-Ukrainian war. And because we have more and more OT vulnerabilities that are being discovered and exploited due to the increase in interconnectivity. So you may remember some of the other cases in the US, the Colonial Pipeline incident, as well as the other one regarding the meat factory. So it's becoming a very important theme in every society now. So perhaps I'll just talk about 4 key risks to really understand and to look at. I will not be able to cover in detail during this session, but please, I hope that you take this away and try to understand more in your free time as well. So first and foremost, infrastructure security. Secondly, application security. And thirdly, human cybersecurity risks. And fourth, a cybersecurity skills gap. Yeah, these are some of the 4 key topics, 4 key risks that we see that are relevant for many organizations and of course individuals. So infrastructure security is the concept of protecting technology assets from cyber attacks. The overall aim is to harden security measures and to minimize the risks and impacts of an attack. So over here are just some levels at which we can protect your assets. You have at the physical level, which is simply even like access to your data center or your server room, for example. because it's so easy for people to simply tamper with your equipment and to create connectivity to their own set of infrastructure. So it's important to have these physical levels in place. And then, of course, you can progress up the levels where you have a networking level, i.e. developing firewalls and authentication systems. And then beyond that, at the application level, encrypting and also application security testing to make sure that your application itself is secure. And finally, of course, the data itself that you have, right? Because at the end of this, you are creating all these things to essentially protect your data at the end of the day. So there'll be things like encryption of the data and also backing up of that data. So having backup servers, etc., to make sure that your assets are protected. So over here is a form of cyber attack ransomware that we talked about earlier. It's a type of malware that encrypts a user and then requests for a ransom payment in exchange for the decryption key. This is a very, very common type of attack that's coming up, and it's really important that you can recognize it when it happens. Examples of ransomware variants include things like WannaCry, Real, Maze, Bat Rabbit, CryptoLocker. Please feel free to Google these. There's a Wikipedia page for all of them, and you'll be able to see how these were deployed differently. They generally differ in the way that in the way that they were deployed, because they can be deployed sometimes via email, via a message, via a link, via all sorts of methods. So it's important to recognize some of these things. Next, we have the application security level, which refers to the processes, tools, and techniques to protect applications against external security threats. Application security should be applied throughout the entire development cycle, right? Because previously, when we talked about software engineering, it's always talking about creating functionality. How do we make a piece of software that's able to do an X function? And now that's not enough, because even if you can create X function, if this application can be compromised, can be attacked, its ability to conduct X function will be affected. So that's why it's really important to include application security into the development process from the start. So for example, over here, you see things like cross-site scripting, denial of service attacks, SQL injections, etc., etc. A SQL injection attack is, for example, inputting a certain command into someone's SQL input, and then causing the SQL database to be giving out information that it shouldn't be giving out, just as a broad base. And there are relatively common fixes to these kinds of issues. It's just that people have to develop an awareness for these risks. And I'm sure many of you in the room would already be familiar with this. And over here, human cybersecurity risk is where our specialization lies. Human error is considered the #1 biggest threat to cybersecurity, putting organizations at risk from within and from external forces. The lack of awareness, negligent cyber habits, and poor access controls are the leading causes of a data breach. 95% of data breaches stem from human error. 95% can come from phishing attacks, sending misdirected emails, poor password hygiene, and simply just using unsecured Wi-Fi. So these are some of the most common things that can lead to a data breach, which also means that only 5% to 15% of all data breaches come from an infrastructure failure. That means an attacker being able to exploit your full range of firewalls and encryption methods, etc., to access your data. Only 5 to 15%. So we have, over the years, invested so little into the human cybersecurity side of things, and this is already the largest contributing factor to this. And that's also one of the reasons why the average cost of a data breach resulting from human error was 3.33 million. which is a massive amount for many organizations and companies. So I'll just give a quick overview of what it looks like for what an attack typically looks like. So typically, it's important to be building awareness within the entire organization at an individual level, at a community level, and of course at an organizational wide level. And this is because the attacks, they tend to look very similar. They come in different skins, but they have a similar similar internal elements. So maybe I just give a quick example. The first thing that will happen is that an attacker would pretend to be a trusted person or entity, right? It could be a message, it could be an email, it could be even a physical piece of letter that is dropped into your office. Just generally creating that sense of trust, pretending to be a trusted person or entity, right? It could be someone pretending to be your sister, your mother, your father, etc. And once that trust is established, this can take maybe just one incident, for example, an email, or it can even be a baiting incident where they are communicating with you for even several exchanges. And then right after that, there's an element of social engineering where the user is manipulated to divulge sensitive information such as personal data, login credentials, and your credit card details. And usually that's when your alarm bell should be ringing. For example, in a bank, a bank will never ask you for your OTP. There've been many incidences where it all seems very legitimate until the point where the caller, the attacker, asks you for your OTP information. And third, this is usually combined with some other form of an attack, right? In that email that's sent to you, it could say things like, for example, it's calling from a trusted organization, and they would like you to confirm certain personal information about yourself, and also they might attach a document that actually contains a piece of malware for you to use and to refer to. So it's very important to take note of that. And some common signs to watch out for this. They tend to contain suspicious looking attachments or links, i.e. links that you do not recognize at all. They tend to evoke panic or demand some form of immediate attention. For example, urgent, please work on this now. For example, your finance colleague is currently on a plane and would like you to very quickly submit this payment through to a partner of yours, for example. Mismatched email addresses or domain names. This happens very, very often. The email address that you see at the top, it could be, for example, Kian@cyberlabels.com, but at the bottom, it could say maybe Kian from a different organization, or maybe it's a different name and then also Cyberlabels. So there's this mismatch. And finally, there are also errors in the language. There are very clear grammatical errors that can be spotted, and they should be treated as a sign that this is a potential attack. So it's important to be developing awareness across this broad spectrum to ensure that everyone has a very good chance of identifying such an attack moving forward, and to build a level of awareness to make sure that the organization continues to be secure. And of course, there is the cybersecurity skills gap, which is something that has been shrinking. People have been working on this, but the gap is still massive. The global shortfall for skilled professionals in the cybersecurity industry is 2.72 million people. That means that organizations need to grow the cybersecurity workforce by 65%. In order to effectively defend against attacks for their critical assets. There's a massive cybersecurity learning opportunity and massive space within the industry for people to participate and to join the profession. And how organizations intend to address the workforce gap is by investing in training. So by undergoing this kind of training, the idea is that you were able to join, for example, security operation centers. You were able to operate these tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 SOC centers to ensure that your organization remains secure. You're able to bring in resources quickly to identify attacks, to manage these threats, and to of course mitigate them. These are all very important key topics. So I'll just share, of course, a bit about AI in cybersecurity. So AI is always talked about as very important, and it's a very important thing in many industries, of course, including cybersecurity. AI, of course, has been identified to be able to help to identify unknown or new threats quicker, handle large amounts of data, for example, logs from your various applications, and also to accelerate detection and response time. So 3 out of 4 say that AI helps their organization respond quicker to breaches. 69% think that AI is necessary to respond to cyber attacks. And 3 out of 5 say that AI improves accuracy and efficiency of cyber analysts. And of course, this flips both ways, because AI is able to help you to be on guard better and be faster. It also at the same time helps the attackers to also be faster. So if now the attackers are able to use AI to better create the various attacks and the threats, it is going to be even more difficult to identify a cybersecurity attack, right? It works both ways. AI helps cybersecurity get better at defense and also helps cyber attackers get better at attacking. So I think this is something that is not as commonly spoke about, but it is indeed the case. And that level of technology and skill will be flowing towards the attackers for sure over the coming years. And that's why it's important for us to be building our cybersecurity capabilities now. They are already getting so sophisticated. So perhaps I'll just try to round up a bit about topic 3, about point 3 and 4. Well, cybersecurity awareness training is an ongoing strategy that consists of activities that enable people and users within an organization to understand and play their personal roles in defending against security threats and breaches. It is very important to also remember that this personal role extends into your family and even the community, because when your email and passwords, for example, are compromised, you are actually it is actually a potential hazard for your entire community, because most people share the same password across multiple accounts, which means that if you were to lose one password to any one of your accounts, you are going to be losing that same password to several other accounts, which could be your corporate account, it could be another set of your personal accounts, maybe your family account, for example. And exactly like what we mentioned earlier about the trust part, if your account has been compromised and it has been used as a trusted source of information to send information, to send emails out to people in the community, your family, etc., they become vulnerable, and these are situations that can and will be exploited by these cyber attackers. And that's why this level of awareness is very important. It's not just for yourself, but also for your family and your community. Maintaining the security of any organization is, of course, a shared responsibility and a collective effort. All it takes is just one person to compromise the cybersecurity of an organization. And building a cybersecurity aware workforce reduces the risk of human error because everyone's learning together, and thus reduces the likelihood of successful security breaches, data theft, and other security vulnerabilities. So as a final note, I would like to just run through perhaps some of the key topics that I would recommend everyone to be looking at. One of the first few things is password security. Password security, of course, there are many levels to this. The very first level is the password itself. Right now, the thinking is moving towards passphrases, right? Passphrases are at least 3 to 5 random words that are not related, but when put together, are very difficult to guess. So you would have a password that ends up to be 18 to 20 characters. And the length of the password is actually one of the most important factors in terms of password strength. Having an 8-character password that has multiple symbols, etc., is easier to break than a password that is 20, 25 characters long. So the first level is passphrases. And above that would be enabling things like 2-factor authentication as well as multi-factor authentication. These are some of the most important things that have to be in place as time moves on, because with 2-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication, the chances of your password being the source of a breach reduces by 90+%. Because by having just two or three layers, it becomes exponentially more difficult for an attacker to crack this. It's surprising because the most common password right now in the world is still 1 2 3 4 5 6. It is still the most common password. And it's something that I don't think anyone is very excited to really talk about, but it's definitely something that needs to change. And of course, secondly, phishing awareness and detection. This is extremely important. Just now I shared in words what awareness and detection is about, but really it is important to also have the physical samples of the content and being exposed to the latest threats and risks, so that people can continuously understand how the phishing attacks are evolving and how they can watch out for future ones. This is very important. This is a continual process. You cannot do this, just once a year, once every 2 years, and then expect that the same types of attacks will appear in 6 to 12 months. Days of email saying that they are prince of some monarchy somewhere and they want to give you $1 million, for example, those days are gone. We don't see any of that anymore. Right now, they are extremely realistic and they look and feel just like the real thing. 3, of course, various scam tactics, social engineering, following you into your office building, for example, into your server rooms, and just being generally very aware of this. And 4th, data protection, privacy, and confidentiality. There are many new regulations that are coming up, of course, in line with also regulatory compliance, where organizations are being asked to comply to various data protection, data privacy, and cybersecurity measures. So that means making sure that your organization is compliant is going to become more and more of a full-time activity. It's going to be extremely important for everyone to get a basic understanding of what your data protection requirements are and how and what it means to you, so that you can continuously keep your data safe. For example, if you are signing up to let's say a portal that's extracting a lot of information about yourself, let's say a healthcare software platform, for example, where you'll be uploading your healthcare information, your weight, height, maybe some of your other conditions, for example. This can be very sensitive information, and you want to make sure that your data is kept kept securely and is in good hands. So that's something. So this is good things to learn. And finally, under essential cybersecurity measures, this would certainly include things like making sure that your devices are continuously updated. This is the simplest thing to do, and not everyone does it. Whenever an update for your computer or any sort of mobile device is launched, I would recommend to install it straight away, because a lot of times when they do this, it's generally to patch up a security vulnerability or to generally improve the performance of your device. And a lot of where this is coming from is to actually make sure that your experience using the device continues to be a safe and productive one. So simple things like that are also critical. And with that, I've spoken quite a bit already today, and I'd like to just close the session at this point. These are thank you for the time, and I hope that everyone has learned something today, and yeah, thank you for this opportunity to share.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lee. Anything to add, Pak Yundi? Masih mute, Pak. Pak Yundi masih mute.
Oke, terima kasih. Thanks Kian. I add on a bit.
Please,
Saya
yeah.
tambah, saya share screen ya. Oke. Oke, selamat siang teman-teman semua. Saya tambahin aja sedikit. Kalau ada pertanyaan, silakan monggo disampaikan langsung. Bisa diketik di chat. Tak kenal maka tak sayang. Jadi perkenalkan diri dulu. Nama saya Yundi. Saya alumni BINUS juga. Dulu jurusan Computer Engineering. Jadi saya akan kasih gambaran sedikit siapa sih sebenarnya BBS dan Cyberliners ini. BBS sendiri, Boston Business School itu berdiri di Singapura itu dari tahun 2004. Jadi itu merupakan institusi atau akademi untuk emerging technology ya. Jadi member dari Authorized Training Organization, kemudian EduTrustnya Singapura juga. Jadi kantornya di Singapura. So far selama ini kita hanya menjalankan kelas di sana. Kemudian tahun ini saya represent BBS untuk Indonesia. Jadi kalau misalnya ada kebutuhan certification, silakan monggo hubungin saya. Karena related sama emerging technology, jadi ini ada beberapa certification atau kelas-kelas yang kita selenggarakan selama ini. Jadi ada cybersecurity, kemudian ada security awareness program, kemudian ada IoT juga, AI, data science, kemudian data etik, data privacy, DevOps sampai DevSecOps. Jadi untuk semua kelas-kelas yang diselenggarakan itu kita bekerja sama dengan institusi yang mengeluarkan certification, tentunya yang international recognized certification. Ini a bit gambaran mengenai kelas-kelas yang kita jalankan. Jadi basically ada 5 major nih untuk cybersecurity. Itu ada mulai dari Ting ini modul basicnya, jadi basic, intermediate sampai advance. Jadi untuk di level Ting itu cybersecurity ada cybersafe, ada IRBIS, IoTBIS. Ini batch atau title yang akan didapatkan setelah para student menyelesaikan dan lulus tesnya. Kemudian untuk level Ting itu fundamentalnya, kemudian bisa dilanjutkan ke kelas build dan secure later on. Jadi kalau kita bicara cybersecurity itu adanya di kolom yang paling kiri ini. Ini oke lah, ini beberapa, jadi sejak berdiri kita sudah mencertified banyak sekali. Ini contoh sebagian perusahaan-perusahaan besar yang telah mengirimkan membersnya untuk certification di tempat kita. Nah, tujuan kita tadinya BBS sudah berdiri lama di Singapura dan baru masuk Indonesia itu tahun ini. Jadi ini contoh salah satu program yang kita create untuk para mahasiswa, tadinya BINUS, karena saya ex-BINUS, kita ada bikin program sama BINUS untuk mensertifikasi atau menambah knowledge mahasiswanya, khususnya untuk cybersecurity. Jadi kita create satu program di mana 1 minggu nantinya mahasiswa bisa kuliah di BBS Singapura, kemudian pada akhir sesi akan ada ujian dan mereka seminggu pulang bawa certification. Karena ini kerjasama dengan IKA BINUS dan kebetulan saya juga membernya IKA BINUS, jadi kita buka program ini juga untuk para alumni BINUS yang tentunya mayoritas sudah bekerja. Jadi kalau misalnya ada kebutuhan untuk perusahaannya, atau feel free untuk discuss dengan saya later on. Kemudian related dengan cyberlinus, jadi ada 2 poin, satu BBS, kedua cyberlinus. Cyberlinus sempat dimention betapa pentingnya kalau kita bicara pentest, security, ada infrastructure security, kemudian ada application, kemudian cyberlinus ini lebih ke human-nya, jadi human awareness-nya. Kalau kita bicara, seperti yang disampaikan oleh Kian di awal-awal tadi, 95% jebol itu karena human error, kecerobohan manusianya. Jadi cyberlinus ini software, jadi software yang kita create tadinya SaaS, sekarang jadi managed service, di mana kita pentest human-nya, karyawannya. Jadi untuk membantu security awareness program untuk sebuah perusahaan, mulai dari nggak ada sampai aware gitu, kita bantu. Ya, masalah today sekarang ya yang kita hadapin di security ya, phishing itu involve 36% data breach. Kemudian kita bicara almost 66% orang menggunakan, ini termasuk saya ini, salah satunya ada di 66% ini, malas ngingetin password, satu password kita pakai di sama-sama banyak account. Kemudian 4% dari, hanya 4% orang yang bisa membedakan phishing email dengan yang asli gitu. Kemudian hampir 100% social attack itu involve phishing. Jadi phishing sangat common sekarang. Jadi kita harus lebih aware lagi. Nah, melalui program apps cyberlinus ini, salah satu modul atau feature itu kita bisa menjalankan phishing simulation setiap saat untuk perusahaan kita, untuk create awareness ke employee. Why cybersecurity awareness matters? Ya tentu sangat penting sekarang. Sekarang Indonesia mulai aware sekali, beberapa perusahaan sudah mulai. Kalau kita jebol ya reputation damage of course, kemudian business disruption, loss of information. Ini baru kalau 1-2 hari kemarin dengar berita salah satu perusahaan telekomunikasi kita hilang tuh datanya. Saya pakai lagi. Kemudian meeting compliance requirement ini sekarang lagi, kalau pernah dengar security insurance sudah mulai, atau orang yang implement ISO 27001, di mana mewajibkan bahwa harus punya security awareness program. Nah, dengan adanya cyberlinus ini, itu bisa membantu kita sangat cepat implement cyber security awareness program di perusahaannya. Jadi cyberlinus ini adalah security awareness program yang bisa kita pakai untuk pentest karyawan kita, human gitu. Kalau kita mau create satu security awareness program yang sophisticated di perusahaan, ini kurang lebih yang harus dibutuhkan. Yang dibutuhkan perusahaan untuk build. Concern-nya untuk SMB, small medium enterprise, mungkin resource-nya nggak cukup. Jadi untuk development internal materials training itu butuh sekitar 240 jam. Kemudian untuk update materialnya butuh sekitar 100 jam. Untuk develop quality phishing simulation butuh sekitar 600 jam. Kemudian onboarding prosesnya, internet security expertise-nya. Ini kalau kita bicara, kita create satu security awareness program yang sophisticated, itu cost-nya cukup tinggi, at least 100K in average. Dan butuh waktu yang cukup lama. Dengan adanya cyberlinus yang sifatnya managed service itu sangat membantu. Jadi yang yang company butuhkan hanya provide email address yang mau dimonitor ke kita. Nah, jadi kita akan menjalankan simulasinya, phishing-nya, kemudian broadcast security awareness program trainingnya regularly setiap bulan, dan at the end of the month company akan terima report, misalnya dari 500 orang yang kita study, 300 lulus, 200 masih jebol, sampai ke level passwordnya, dan itu reportnya akan kita submit setiap bulan. Basically, cyber awareness isinya 3 program, jadi ada 3 modul, ada phishing simulation, kemudian ada micro learning. Jadi ini material related dengan security yang akan di broadcast ke target yang mau kita evaluate. Kemudian isinya sangat sophisticated, sampai tampilannya persis kayak kita Instagraman biasa gitu, swipe langsung jawab. Kemudian fleksibel juga, kalau company punya rules of security yang mereka mau add in, kita bisa masukkan ke sana. Kemudian modul yang terakhir itu untuk monitoring 24/7 leak monitoring. Jadi untuk crawling sampai ke dark web, kalau misalnya ada kredensial user yang kita monitor bocor, nah dia akan laporkan langsung. Ini contoh, salah satu contoh phishing. Jadi kita bisa untuk phishing email itu bisa jadi siapa aja, template-nya sudah sangat banyak. Bisa jadi bank, bisa jadi sosmed, Facebook, Google, apa aja kita bisa jadi, atau bahkan bisa internal email, internal company email juga bisa. Jadi phishing simulation-nya sudah ready, kemudian kita tinggal bisa tailor juga, tinggal jalankan. Untuk micro learning-nya, modulnya juga sudah sangat banyak, seperti saya mention tadi. Ini contohnya topik-topik yang sudah ada dan masih banyak lagi, strong password, dan ini akan di-send ke usernya itu nanti sebagai awareness, bagian dari awareness programnya. Yang terakhir, leak monitoring tadi, semua email yang kita monitor itu akan dicek 24/7. Jadi kalau misalnya ada leak atau kredensial kita yang bocor di mana, itu akan direportkan, sehingga kita bisa punya waktu yang lebih cepat atau akses untuk langsung merubah sebelum digunakan orang lain. Timetable-nya, jadi untuk satu company, kalau kita mau jalankan cyber awareness, ya program yang jalannya kurang lebih seperti ini. Jadi dari hari pertama kita announce kita akan lakukan security awareness campaign, kemudian nanti kita akan jalankan di hari kedua atau sampai ke 16 kita akan jalankan phishing simulation-nya, kemudian mulai masuk ke micro learning-nya, kemudian setiap akhir bulan itu manajemen akan terima management report dari target yang kita jalankan. Ya, itu dari saya, Triana. Thank you, teman-teman semua. Jadi kalau ada pertanyaan, kita masuk ke sesi tanya jawab aja. Feel free untuk tanya. Thank you.
Makasih Pak Yungdi. Thank you Mr. Lee. So I will open the questions for the audience. We already have three questions. The questions is which protocol, which security protocol I use or implemented to prevent cyber attack? Maybe this question is related to Mr. Kian.
Yeah, thank you. For this question, it's a really difficult question answered, because there are so many different types of cyber attacks, and there are so many new different types of cybersecurity software and solutions that are being sold right now. Of course, on the technical front, you of course would have things like firewalls, lock detection systems, your SIEMs, your SOARs, etc., that are being used as a way for the organization to understand what is the cyber threat attack surface at any one point in time. But of course, like what we were sharing earlier as well, 85 to 95% of all of these breaches are due to a source of human error. And also, I note there's a yes. I also know that there's a question on personal cybersecurity protection, because the information has already been, for example, sold on the dark web. For example, your birth date, your ID, etc. Maybe these two questions can be combined. So if let's say you are to simply begin using 2FA to authenticate every single one of your systems, every single platform that you use, I feel that this will be a lot more secure than if you didn't, because usually when you have things like birthday, mother's maiden name, etc., it typically comes with another layer. There must be another layer with first your password, and then maybe they ask you again for, let's say, your ID or your birthday or maiden name. So if you have two-factor or multi-factor authentication, you should be able to mitigate that risk. Frankly, things like, for example, your email address is so easily found online nowadays that even your work email address, as long as you give it your name card before ever at any exhibition, it is, or you give it out in public, chances are it's really out there somewhere, right? So I think it's just simply more important to have 2FA and multi-factor authentication methods to log into any platform to make your account more secure.
Okay, so that is the one and third question. So related to the second question, the question is related to online transaction on credit card. They say OTP method is the most secure. Do you have any better suggestion than OTP method? Is the setback and advantage of using OTP for online transaction?
So the one-time password question is a really good one, because one-time password can be delivered through multiple means. It can be delivered through your things like OT, where you have an OTP that lasts for 60 seconds that is linked to your device. It can also come through your phone, like a SMS. It can also come through your email. And I'll say that this is it's generally a pretty good method to create that multiple levels of authentication required. The only risk is that the place where you send the OTP is already compromised. So in the event that, for example, your email is compromised, right, and the OTP is sent to your email, then of course it's not going to help, because you put the password in, your OTP is already compromised because your email is compromised. So it doesn't have any sort of impact. So of course, one way to mitigate this is you can either have multiple layers of OTP. Like, for example, if you are involved in some more specific financial services, they actually ask you for multiple OTPs. That means one on your phone and one on your email, for example. So then that would help to mitigate this risk. But OTP generally is pretty secure, because it only lasts for 60 seconds. So unless the attacker already has access to your device on hand, it's quite difficult to crack. It will be really challenging for them. Yeah.
Oke, semoga menjawab ya. Jadi saya summary-in ya. Pak Mr. Lee bilang OTP itu juga cukup secure, mungkin lebih secure lagi pakai multiple device. So, yes. OTP with multiple device. Oke. Next, mungkin ini ditujukan ke Pak Yundi ya. Apakah di BBS tersedia program sertifikasi yang terkait dengan IT audit, Pak? Masih mute, Pak Yundi.
Tergantung ya, kalau related sama audit spesifik, IT audit, kita belum ada spesifik kelasnya ya.
Oke. Mungkin teman-teman saya buka lagi termin yang kedua, kalau mau menanyakan hal-hal yang lain kepada Mr. Lee atau ke Pak Yundi mengenai sertifikasi.
Ini kalau tadi dari Pak Marzuki sempat mention bahwa ada dari luar selain Binusian. Jadi untuk Bapak Ibu yang dari luar, kalau misalnya butuh lebih lanjut, nanti hubungin ke panitia aja, ke moderator atau ke siapa ya, atau ke saya juga nggak ada masalah. Jadi misalnya mau tes aplikasi cyberliners untuk perusahaannya, itu tinggal kita atur waktunya gitu. Demikian juga untuk para alumni.
Baik, jadi kalau misalnya teman-teman alumni mau ikut kelas atau sertifikasi bisa hubungin ke Pak Yundi ya Pak?
Iya ya.
Betul ya. Oke. Apa ada spesial program Pak untuk alumni? Mungkin kayak diskon Pak, boleh di.
Ya, nanti diatur, itu lagi dibicarakan sama IKA BINUS nanti kita bikin untuk alumni.
Oke, jadi kabar gembira ya teman-teman. Saya juga pernah berkecimpung di bidang IT. Jadi kalau waktu itu saya dikasih tahu kalau misalnya kita formal edukasi adalah memberikan kita kesempatan untuk apply pekerjaan. Tapi kalau punya sertifikasi itu adalah kesempatan kita mendapatkan pekerjaan. Kira-kira begitu ya. Jadi sertifikasi itu sangat penting buat teman-teman untuk meningkatkan karir di bidang keahliannya. Setuju ya Pak Yundi ya?
Setuju banget.
Jadi teman-teman ya kalau udah memang di bidang security ya dianjurkan sih untuk mengikuti kelas dan sertifikasi sehingga bisa punya rekognisi secara internasional. BBS juga adalah suatu body ya, international body yang memberikan sertifikasi yang diakui oleh internasional. Oke, teman-teman ada yang pertanyaan? Oke, next. That is security awareness program provided support local language. Dalam bahasa Indonesia ya maksudnya ya Bu Catherine.
Bisa diatur Pak.
Yes.
Ya, basically currently is in English, tapi kalau butuh in Indonesia, especially for the micro learning part, I think we can do it. Let's discuss.
No, it is. Maybe I'll be happy to share that. It is actually already in a pipeline. We are very working on this. Yeah.
Okay, next. Apakah eSIM card nomor secure untuk kita pakai? Ini maksudnya eSIM card nomor secure. Ini untuk telepon atau ada yang bertanya? Halo?
Ya.
Oke, silakan.
SIM card-nya nomornya secara virtual, jadi tidak ada seperti Apple sekarang sudah bikin tidak ada physically nomor SIM card yang kita masukkan ke handphone. Jadi semua berprogram nomornya.
Siapa yang bikin Pak?
Apple sudah bikin Pak. Apple sudah bikin.
Oh iya bukannya si Elon punya ya? Yang nggak perlu kartu.
Jadi di US sudah mulai pakai, kita cukup aman nggak pakai nomor kita.
Wah, aman nggak ya? Basically sih sebenarnya sebenarnya basically yang perlu diamankan itu bukan teknologi kartunya atau virtual number-nya. Yang perlu diamankan itu data kita. Kayak sekarang even kartu physically, kartunya nggak ada masalah. Cuman data kita Pak untuk mendapatkan kartu itu yang harus kita provide ke provider. Dan mereka yang pegang data kita itu, nama kita lah, KTP kita, segala macam. Nah, yang diambil orang itu ya yang itu. Nothing to do sama nomor kartu kita. Yang harus dijaga data kita di tempat dia sebenarnya. Gitu. Kalau secure apa enggak physically sama virtual SIM card number harusnya nggak jauh beda menurut saya.
Maybe I can just add in here. I heard the bit about the eSIM.
Yeah.
Yeah, with like regard to eSIM, it is from my current understanding, it is not possible to remove an existing eSIM profile without the owner's authentication, right? Because it's embedded within the phone. So if let's say that the phone were to be stolen for some reason, it will be almost impossible to change the SIM card because it isn't a physical SIM card, right? And the phone will be very highly traceable. And almost certainly the person who stole the phone will be found, because the moment they turn it on, the moment they charge it, that eSIM will be activated, and they simply cannot remove it without the original owner's authentication. So in that sense, it does add the additional layer of security onto the phone. I hope that makes some sense.
Okay. So we have next question. The next question is saying that the solution is not only limited to preventive and attacking. How about to recover the loss after the attack? And how is the administration doing the forensic after the attack?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the last part? After losing the data.
Yeah. After losing the data.
Bila perlu, admin melakukan forensik dari dampak. This one. Kalau sudah kejadian, itu di kelas, if you are talking about secure cybersecurity certification level, in secure level itu akan diajarkan cara merespon. Jadi batch-nya itu certificate-nya itu certified security first responder kalau nggak salah ya. Jadi di situ akan diajarkan how to react juga kalau misalnya ada jebol forensiknya, apa yang perlu dicek segala macam. Itu di kelas secure, Pak.
Oke, kira-kira Pak Eshart bisa terima Pak, atau ada yang mau ditanyakan lebih lanjut?
Ya, terima kasih Pak.
Thank you. And the next question is about the future career in cybersecurity. What is your view about this, and what is the highest career in the career level in the cybersecurity?
Yeah, maybe I'll take this one, Yundi. So yeah, I would say that the future in cybersecurity is very bright. In fact, it's getting brighter. There's a growing importance to secure not just your digital but also your operational IoT infrastructure, and it is something that there's increasing importance being paid to it. Cybersecurity and data protection, data privacy and data protection are also coming hand in hand in many compliance and regulatory requirements. And as this continues to evolve, as companies become more cybersecurity and as organizations also become more cybersecurity mature, we see that that this cybersecurity role will take on a more formal role within an organizational structure. So previously, if you were doing cybersecurity, you'll be part of the IT department, right? And that'll be it, right? But nowadays, in some countries, in some economies where there are where there's a greater level of cybersecurity maturity, we see that the cybersecurity officer is actually responsible for that whole component about business risks that can affect business performance and revenue. And therefore, one of the highest titles that a person can reach would be a chief information officer or a chief information security officer. And they used to be non-C-suite positions, even though they were called Chief Information Security Officer. And increasingly so, we're seeing more and more people calling this, incorporating this into the C-level management of a company, of an organization. So that highest career level is also increasing. It's now already reached the C-level in quite a number of countries and companies. And I see that this is likely to continue to grow. It's very hard to say, but the fact is that cybersecurity is becoming more and more important and relevant moving forward. So certainly, there's a bright future there.
So in cybersecurity, still a lot of opportunities. Okay.
Yes, lots of opportunities.
Ya, Pak Yundi, ini ada beberapa yang private message ke saya. Kayaknya mereka tertarik. Kalau misalnya ada yang mau ikut kelas dan mengikuti sertifikasi, bagaimana caranya? Mungkin ada kontak numbernya, Pak?
Atau, ya, saya kasih kontak number saya aja, nggak apa-apa.
Ya.
Iya.
Bisa ditampilkan, Pak, mungkin? Atau...
Tadinya rencananya kita lihat dari feedbacknya tadinya. Ditulis aja di feedback formnya gitu.
Oke. Jadi teman-teman, ya nggak apa-apa. Jadi teman-teman, saya sekali lagi saya informasikan nanti di akhir acara ini kita akan ada form survei ya untuk acara dan form evaluasi terakhir. Nanti jika teman-teman tertarik untuk mengikuti kelas cybersecurity atau yang related ya, yang diselenggarakan oleh BBS atau sertifikasi, teman-teman bisa tulis di form evaluasinya. Nanti teman-teman dari IKA BINUS akan mengontak teman-teman dan memberikan informasi yang lebih lanjut, gitu ya Pak ya?
Ya, betul.
Oke, teman-teman, saya ada lagi pertanyaan. Mungkin ada pertanyaan yang belum terjawab. Saya coba cek ke chat ya, kayaknya udah terjawab semua ya. Oke. Terakhir, last call. Any questions for anyone want to ask more? Mumpung ada ahlinya di sini ya. Jadi kalau mau tanya cepetan sebelum kita tutup ya.
Besok-besok masih boleh tanya kok, tenang aja.
Betul. Maksudnya tanya di sini Pak. Oke, kalau nggak ada ya. Oke teman-teman. Selanjutnya kita acaranya adalah foto bersama ya. Kita lanjutkan dengan foto bersama. Mungkin teman-teman yang ikut acara ini boleh tampilkan wajah-wajah gantengnya, wajah-wajah cantiknya supaya kita abadikan ya. Kita dokumentasikan acara ini ya. Jadi terima kasih atas partisipasinya teman-teman dalam acara ini. Nanti minta tolong teman-teman juga isi survei. Dan juga kalau mau ikut kelas, tadi ya saya udah ulangi lagi, kelas atau sertifikasi teman-teman bisa tulis. Dan nomor kontak yang bisa dikontak, nanti teman-teman dari IKA BINUS akan menghubungi teman-teman untuk memberikan informasi lebih lanjut. Oke. Udah nih, belum semua nih nampaknya videonya. Tampilkan wajah-wajah cantiknya, wajah-wajah gantengnya, saya hitung ya. Saya hitung 1, senyum ya teman-teman. 1, 2, 3. Oke. Next page. Bentar, saya press dulu ya. Next page. Ada 4 ya teman-teman. Terus next, yang ketiga. Nah, yang keempat. Oke. Oke, saya tanyakan kembali ke panitia, ada tambahan informasi? Apakah sudah cukup? Ini ya teman-teman, untuk form surveinya ada di chat ya. Jadi ada survei kepuasan acara untuk memberikan input kepada IKA BINUS untuk menyelenggarakan acara-acara yang lebih menarik dan lebih baik lagi. Ada untuk alumni, ada untuk mahasiswa ya. Terus bisa tambahkan form-form yang lain. Bisa tambahkan informasi kalau untuk ikut kelas-kelas cybersecurity tadi ya. Dari panitia ada tambahan informasi? Yopi, cukup?
Cukup, Cik. Commute.
Oke, teman-teman. Ya. Oke, teman-teman, terima kasih. Thank you for coming, Mr. Lee, Pak Yundi, dan semua teman-teman alumni dan teman-teman mahasiswa untuk hari ini. Semoga informasi yang diberikan sangat bermanfaat dan bisa menolong teman-teman dalam karirnya ya. Thank you. See you in the next event.
Thank you.
Bye, Mr. Lee Kian.
Yo, thank you semuanya. Yo.
Thank you, Pak Yundi.
Thank you.
Mungkin Bu Triana sama Pak Yundi, kita jangan keluar dulu. Mr. Lee, maybe if you have time, don't go out first.
Of course, I'm still here.
Teman-teman yang masih di room boleh dilihat di chat Zoom-nya. Untuk yang tertarik boleh mengisi form. Teman-teman BINUSan alumni yang tertarik mau ikut grup WhatsApp boleh hubungi ke nomor handphone saya. Saya sambil izin membubarkan. Kami minta izin untuk masukkan ke waiting room ya Bapak Ibu ya.